Hi everyone, this is Dango from Rocky Valley server. In this video, we are going to look at how to use and how to build Prime Jecissa or Sojo Jecissa in Langrisser Mobile. So Prime Jecissa or Sojo Jecissa may potentially come to Langrisser Mobile for the next big update, which is going to be the first update in 2020. Yeah. So the other potential is that Yu Yu Hakusho will come on the first update of 2020, but it could also be Prime Jecissa or Amelia. So in this case, after the next big update, we will going to have the Season 2 playoff. So people will be wondering if they should summon for her or Amelia to surprise their enemy in the playoff. This is why I'm making this video. So let's just start, and the first part we are going to look at her talent. So the first part of her talent is that the farther the distance between the enemy and Sojo Jecissa, the higher the damage dealt. So basically, Sojo Jeciss's damage will increase like 4% at 4 star or 8% at 6 star per each spot between the enemy and Sojo Jecissa. So if the Sojo Jecissa and the enemy is like 7 spots away and you are using like some AoE skill and can hit him, this skill increase will be 56% at 6 star. This is actually a very significant increase in damage dealt, which is actually very strong. And this actually censored very well with Sojo Jeciss's skill also. So we will going to look at it later. So the second part of this skill is that if Sojo Jecissa is not moving this turn, then the mobility of Sojo Jecissa increased by 1 or 2. So 1 is for 3, 4, and 5 star. 2 is for 6 star. So 6 star Sojo Jecissa is going to be very powerful. And if we look at the skill, you can realize immediately why this talent is censored very well with the skill. So basically, this Sojo Jecissa is a supportive and like semi-supportive, semi-aggressive character. So for the support part, she has mass heal, which is actually a very useful skill in PvP and also in PvE. And she has the very aggressive skill as well. This Meteor deals like 0.36 damage. So remember, if you are like 7 spots away from your enemy, this is going to deal 56% more damage than that. And the other part of the skill, this is a skill that is special to Sojo Jecissa, which has a 5-turn cooldown. So this is basically an AoE skill that deals 0.3 AoE damage, and it will dispel 1 buff from the enemy. And it will deal additional damage to the demons, and then it will also heal all the units within. It will heal all the units within 4 spots of Sojo Jecissa. And this is going to heal Sojo Jeciss's like 3 times intelligence, and also this will dispel 1 debuff from the friendly units. This is why Sojo Jecissa is like sometimes it is a little bit similar to the function of Ritual in Langrisser Mobile. So she can deal very strong AoE attack, very high range, and also this can heal the enemy and dispel debuff, which is very useful. And this also censored very well with one of the troops Sojo Jecissa can use, which we will talk later. And the other skill is like kind of similar to like Yu Yu Hakusho Spanner's character. This is like a transformation skill. Sojo Jecissa, Prime Jecissa, is like after all, it's like has very strong connection to Goddess. So this skill basically is transformation to Goddess. And after you do this, like after you actively use that skill, then all of the active skill cooldown is reduced by 3. And then she will become the Goddess mode. In this Goddess mode, the mobility of Sojo Jecissa reduced by 3, which means Sojo Jecissa can move 3 spots. In this case, if you are not having like a mobility buff, like if you have braids or something like that, you will only have 0 mobility, which means she cannot move. But at the same time, the skill range increased by 3, and also at the end of the turn, it can heal herself 1.5 times intelligence of the of the health points and then dispel one debuff. And then when you are in the Goddess mode, you can actually actively cancel that Goddess mode and turn back into the normal Sojo Jecissa and then move again. So this can be a little bit hard to understand, so I'm going to do a like a semi illustrative way of to show basically how this skill works. It is actually a very powerful transformation skill. So yeah, basically from those skills, you can already kind of see why Sojo Jecissa is actually very strong. And her faction is like Origin of Light's faction. So she actually basically, I usually just call her the Origin of Light faction of Ritual. This is why I think like Sojo Jecissa is actually a very strong character that's definitely worth summoning if you are trying to go very far in the Season 2 of Playoff in Apex Arena. And the other faction is like Gizlov's faction. Right now this faction is a little bit weak because we don't have like Yusuke, but with Sojo Jecissa I would say Gizlov is actually useful just because then he really can call faction buffs for a large variety of characters in this game. Then maybe like if you are like summoning Sojo Jecissa, maybe Gizlov can be a good option for you in Apex Arena as well. Glory faction, a lot of people are using Elven in their box, so that can call faction buff for both Yulia and Sojo Jecissa. And then let's look at her troops here. This is the new troop that will be added after the next big update. So this troop censored very well with Sojo Jecissa because when this troop is like actively attacking, it deals like magic attack, which is like normal for all these like holy troop. For all these, they all deal magic damage. And what else is that it aids the the healing ability of the character by 15%. And then when you are using the heal ability, when you are healing, you will also dispel one debuff. So you will have 100% to dispel one debuff when you are at like level 10 for this troop. The chance is not 100% if you don't have them at level 10. This actually works very well with both this skill that can remove one debuff and also mass heal, which can also remove one debuff. So basically, when you are using this Goddess side skill and also this mass heal skill, you can remove 2 debuffs from the from your ally units instead of 1 debuff. This can be like a very good supportive skill. And to build Sojo Jecissa, basically, Breeze is very recommended just because when you are using this skill, when you turn Sojo Jecissa into like Goddess form, then her mobility becomes 0. If you are not moving at all, then the next turn you will have 2 extra mobility. But if you have Breeze triggered, then even after you like turn yourself into the Goddess mode, she will still have 2 mobility from the Breeze buff. This is why Breeze is really recommended. And then her range of skill becomes very long. Like this AoE range has a like 3 range skill. After you turn into the Goddess and the Breeze is triggered, you can actually have 2 mobility, and then you still have this skill range plus 3. So this becomes a 6 range skill, and then it has like 4 spam. And then this censored very well with her talents because basically with this skill range increased by the 3, and then 3 plus 3 plus this spam is 4. Basically it's like 10. You can hit an enemy like 10 spells away. This is a huge range. And for the enemy that is 10 spells away, the scale damage actually increased by 80% at 6 star. This is really a huge increase in the scale damage. This is why Sojo Jecissa is actually very strong. So yeah, Breeze is what you are going to use for your Sojo Jecissa or Prime Jecissa. The other gear is actually pretty common, so I just also still recommend you to use this tennis rope for Sojo Jecissa or Prime Jecissa. And then for the headgear, I actually don't recommend this audience helmet. I still recommend you to use like tennis headgear. Yeah, because usually you have like very extremely high range. Usually your Sojo Jecissa is going to stick around your tank, so triggering some extra buff is always good. And then yeah, for the accessory, I actually still just recommend Holy Ring, because Sojo Jecissa or Prime Jecissa, she needs to actively use load scale very actively. You don't want Sojo Jecissa get silenced at all. This is why Holy Rune is a must for her in PvP. Even for PvE, Holy Rune is not a terrible choice. But then for PvE, you can use like Verda's Rose, or you can use this gear that reduce the cooldown as well. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit about how this actually works, because it is kind of hard to understand just seeing that. Let's just jump into a time-based map. Okay. Oh, this actually increased the mobility of all the characters, which is not very good when we are testing something that is related to mobility. So we're going to do a time rift, I guess, in this case. Oh, 60. She will be one of the new characters in the future that we can summon. Very cute. So yeah, let's just use her here. So let's just use this AoE scale. I'm not using the transformation scale right now, and you will figure out why I'm not using it right now in a minute. So this is basically Goddess size scale, which will deal 0.3 of AoE damage, which is not very huge because we don't call deflection buff, and then also heal our characters. Yeah. And then let's again show the Jecissa. You can see here, the skill cooldown is 5. Now I'm going to turn her into the Goddess mode. Now she becomes a Goddess. And Breeze is triggered. This is why she still have 2 mobility. This Goddess like turn into the Goddess actually reduced 3 of the mobility. But she still has 2 mobility because Breeze is triggered. So if we actually use Leticia here, this mobility actually increased to 3, because Leticia here can provide 1 extra mobility. That is not the same with the other mobility increase. So we are going to end the turn here. Here you can see here the mobility, the cooldown of this skill actually decreased to 1. This is because when you are turning Sojo Jecissa into the Goddess mode, all of the skill cooldown reduced by 3. So this is just a very like why this transformation skill is very good. And you can see here the max skill range. Wow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In the Goddess mode, you basically can heal a character that is 6 spots away, basically here. And the other thing is that when you are in the Goddess mode, you can actually deactivate your Goddess mode and turn into the normal Sojo Jecissa and then you can move again. Yeah, now we are back to normal. The huge range doesn't exist anymore. But then you can move again, and then you can cast another least skill. Yeah, so this is why Sojo Jecissa is very strong. She has a lot of way to turn, to manipulate the cooldown of the skill. Basically, when she is turning into the goddess mode, she can, like, all of the cooldown of the skill decreased by 3, and when she actively stop the goddess mode and turn back into the normal Sojo Jecissa, she can actually move again. Yeah, remember I have one way to say if a character is good or not. Move again is one of the reasons, but this move again is not super strong. But the thing is, like, with the move again and with the other skill transformation, she can reduce the cooldown by a lot. And this basically can help you plan out how you are going to, deal with your enemy. For example, in the transformation mode, I just use a mass heal this turn, and then my enemy is using some huge AoE on me. So the next turn I also need to use another mass heal. I can just turn Sojo Jecissa back into the normal Jecissa, and this one turn cooldown is basically gone. So I can use mass heal immediately. So this mass heal, basically you can cast the mass heal within like 2 turns for like 2 times. This is also very strong. So this is just basically how Sojo Jecissa works. She has a very huge range for the skill. She has a very high damage for the enemies that is far away. And if you check, so she actually, the third bound actually has the attack bound. This is why here you can see like she has 35% attack from the from the troops. This is basically why Sojo Jecissa can actually also deal a significant amount of single target skill damage. So basically, if you are like using Sojo Jecissa has one fireball that can be a very can be a single target skill, and also has a very good cleanness skill. And because this skill will basically remove 2 buffs from the enemy, so she can actually hit very hard for single target as well. So that depends on your strategy. She fits both the AoE team or a single target team, and she can be like semi-supportive. This is why I really think Prime Jecissa or Sojo Jecissa is very strong in Season 2 of Apex Arena in playoff. So if you're a big whale, if this banner do come the next time, then I would say probably if you are a whale or if you have enough summon waters, then summoning for Prime Jecissa or Sojo Jecissa is actually a very good idea. This is basically a character similar to the Claret, basically provided for whales so that they can perform better in playoff, and she becomes a very strong secret weapon. You can maybe you can hide her for the like first round or second round, and then only using her in later rounds to surprise your enemy. So yeah, maybe you can hide your Gizlov with her, not showing off like Prime Jecissa and Gizlov in the first 2 rounds, and then I'm using Gizlov now and Prime Jecissa, so your enemy cannot investigate you before the battle, and you will have slight advantage from pick and ban because of that. So this is really a strong character. But if you are free to play, I still don't think you really need to summon her. I mean, summon her is not a bad choice as well, because she's pretty strong and solid unit. But the problem is that in the future, when we have the collaboration with Record of Lordis War, this character Diddlit is going to replace Sojo Jecissa, and you can see the faction is still like Origin of Light faction, and she has slightly better factions actually, because Princess faction now is pretty strong, and Time faction is always relevant for PvP battle. So this character, like, This video is not about delete, but this character in my mind is going to kind of replace the position of Sojo Jecissa, and she will be relevant for Season 3 of Apex Arena. So if you are just like summoning one copy for Sojo Jecissa, and and when Season 3 comes, you will need to use like delete to replace her anyway. That makes like summoning for Sojo Jecissa and build her slowly not worth the effort. But if you are Big Whale again, I really think she is a very good and relevant unit for the playoff of Season 2 of Apex Arena. But if you are like free to play, I would say maybe you shouldn't summon for her. The good reason for you to still summon on that banner may because of like Amelia, which is going to be another tank for the Princess faction. So I'm going to talk about Amelia in a minute soon. So if you are looking for like how to use and how to build Amelia, stay tuned to my channel, and I guess I will upload the video for her recently also. Just to mention, when you are trying to do the like single targets on Prime Jecissa, you should use Sorceress. But if you are using like AoE Prime Jecissa or Sojo Jecissa, and you want to use like mass heal so that she has some heal ability, then you should use this new troop, which is like forest, like forest something. Yeah, like this guy has something with forest here, as you can see. Yeah, basically this new troop fits her if you are using the AoE Sojo Jecissa. But if you are using like single target skill, then the Sorceress is still like the best troop for her, and she can deal a ton of single target damage as well. So this is all about this video. I hope you find this video useful, and if you do like the video, please hit the subscribe button and also like the video. Thanks. Peace.